Welcome one, welcome all to episode 261 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, February 1st, 2025. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. Today we'll be discussing Forza Horizon 5 arriving into the PlayStation ecosystem, our impressions of Ninja Gaiden 2.
5.
Sniper Elite Resistance. I'm getting ahead of myself here. And of course, the reality of Xbox being a third-party publisher and just what that might entail. As always, we hope you enjoy the show. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness, those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Can I get a little personal real quick?
Get personal.
Get personal. Okay. So as many of you guys have been listening over the last year, roughly, not quite a full year, but a full year, in come like May, I've been separated from my wife and we're getting our divorce. And, for the last 6 months, I've had a roommate who I didn't really know, but needed to like fill in the room to help cover the rent. He moved out yesterday. After I didn't get like a too much of a notice. I got like maybe 3 weeks while I was on vacation and found out about it. But it was one of those things where now that the apartment is empty, I feel like I'm starting to like reclaim the extra space that I used to have, because I used to have all this. Used to be my office. I used to have a really nice office. If you guys remember, like I had all my stuff in the background. It looked really cool. Like it was all set up. And that was my office. I worked and I played in there. And that was like my space. Now I'm going to be able to like reclaim that. I don't know if I'm going to go full on, like break down this entire like system and push it all back into the other room and like move everything back for the next 6 months until I move again. But I'm happy, dude. I don't know about you, but there's something about feeling comfortable in your own home where you can clean things the way you clean things. You can walk around with no pants on if you don't want to walk it around with no pants on. You don't feel like you're imposing on anyone's. I don't have to sit there and think like, oh, when am I going to make dinner? Is that going to like work out with who else is making dinner in the tiny kitchen that you have? So I am doing good. I'm doing really good. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable and happy I feel like I've got like a weight off of my shoulders now that I have more control over my life. And I think that's important. As you get older, you start to kind of fall into your own little like rhythms and eccentricities and stuff. Mm-hmm. And respecting and understanding those will help you in the future, I think, if you don't have to worry about that so much with others. And if you do, try and communicate that with them on a regular basis so that you can say like how you're feeling and stuff. But that's how my week is going so far. How about you?
Well, I'm very glad that you are sharing that with people, because it's a lot to try and keep those feelings and thoughts in, and too often, because I mean we're getting up there in age. Too often I think adults and men especially don't share their feelings, what they're going through, process their emotions, because they're trying to adhere to some archaic tough alpha thing. And the reality is it's hard. And I think anybody that knows you closely has known you have gone through it in the last year. It's been difficult for you. Personal life, personal friendships, professional life, XEP, Keelhauled. It affects everything. There's no way for it not to. So I'm glad that you've got another step in the right direction, another step in the journey of healing. It's well-deserved and well-earned, and I'm very happy. And awesome. That brings me to why I, in our notes, don't have my words of kindness. You are my words of kindness this week.
Oh.
Because I know you've been going through it. It has been a strain on XEP, our friendship, your life, everything. But in the last 2 weeks, you've published 2 hardware reviews. Is it 3 weeks maybe? 2 hardware reviews.
3 weeks.
A fantastic job on the Stealth Pivot controller, which I know was unique because it's such a unique controller.
It's wild.
Yeah. Then you did a hardware review for the Astro A50 Gen 5s from Logitech for us. And I really want to push everybody to go check those out, because Logan pushed himself out of his comfort zone in some ways to grow and get better. And I think that's really cool. And I was just really proud of you, really happy for you to get those done. You have comments singing your praises on the Astro ones, and I can now send that to Logitech, and it just made me really happy. So I was really proud of you and wanted you to know.
So. Awesome, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm really glad that you got me those opportunities, because especially with the Pivot controller, having gone through and played like Injustice 2 was really like I know never played that game, never been into fighters or anything like that. Now that I'm through that one, it's like I kind of want to go back to the first one and like figure out what the heck the story was, because it was really awesome.
First one's better, I think, story wise. I actually enjoyed the first one more. I was actually heartbroken to find that when I was doing the Steam Deck, first one's not on Steam Deck. Second one is. Kind of a bummer. What did you think of it? You know, we're just chatting along here before we get to our many news topics here. What did you think of Injustice? I'm a diehard DC fan. What did you think?
I mentioned superheroes and I activated Luke. I really enjoyed it. So any of you who haven't played Injustice 2, I'll tell you right now, that was a game that I was not anticipating the story to be so thorough. You start off as Batman with Nightwing, and as you're kind of going through, something has happened to is it Gotham? I think it's Gotham, that the Joker dropped an atomic bomb, I think. No, he's muted.
Metropolis.
Oh, it was Metropolis.
In the first game, he killed Lois Lane.
Okay, so in the first game, spoilers, he killed Lois Lane.
That's like the opening premise of Injustice, just to be clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Joker kills Lois Lane while she's pregnant with Superman's child. That's what causes him to go over the deep end, and you get your dark storyline. That's the whole premise.
Yeah, so going through that and then realizing like you're basically going through the gambit of like the superheroes and stuff. So you get Green Arrow, you get the Flash, you get like all these little characters that come in throughout the Injustice or in the Justice League. And as you're kind of like playing through all this, you're hearing the back and forth of all these characters. And I was really impressed with the logic that each side was presenting. And I was really surprised that I was just like, man, I was not expecting them to delve into the moral ambiguity between who deserves to die. If a bad guy who's murdered, does he deserve to live, or have we let so many killers get away with staying alive that they just get out and then stuff, and going through that and then seeing like the little because there's little bits in there where there's like one person's playing on one side, one person's playing on the other side. Are they doing it in like for their own reasons? Are they doing it because they're just trying to get information? Like there's a lot of like double agent stuff going on with Injustice 2, and I was really impressed with just how they go about doing all of that, like how the interactions go. So I genuinely like started to fall in love with all of the different characters and like what's been going on with them and their storyline and stuff. So I was really happy to some of my favorite characters and stuff find out that they were on one side or the other side. I was like, oh, this is really awesome. And to see that kind of like push and pull, especially with like Supergirl, who's been hidden away this whole time, with Wonder Woman and how she's standing by Superman because she's in love with him. Like there's so many like little plot lines that I have no clue like if they're in the actual comics or not, but it was really kind of cool. So
it is cool. I'm really glad that you caught all that. It's neat because it's one of those things. It's kind of like the DC equivalent of Civil War on the Marvel side.
Yeah.
What's the right and wrong of dealing with superpowered beings, which is fascinating. I strongly think you should check out the first one just on account of the story, because it's the old animated voices and such and whatnot. So I really enjoyed that one.
Nice.
But I really enjoyed it for the story. For Injustice 2, I didn't really enjoy the gear system or anything, but I loved the story. I loved the art.
The first one has Lobo in it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely wishlisting this. Then.
First one's great. Yeah, I think you'll like the first one. All right. So let's see here. Logan, you were my words of kindness. Did you have any words of kindness you want to throw out, or did we kind of cover that in the intro?
Well, I wanted to shout out two podcasts that are kind of like my go-tos. Like every week, for whatever reason, on Thursday, it's like podcast week. So like I've got like Wednesday set up for like Trophy Room, and that's kind of like a little outlier in during the week. Our week has like, or our day has like our show, Baron show. We've got a whole bunch of shows that are going on, and then like Sundays are typically Bitcast, maybe a little bit of Lords, depending on how what's going on. But Thursdays, I've got Project X Talk and the Nerd Chat, and this week was fantastic to listen to them, to hear their kind of conversations and stuff. And while it feels still like a very parasocial relationship because I'm not integrated into their daily lives, it's so nice to hear like stuff about what Sam's got going on and what Kev's got going on in their lives, and in the little dips in there in the nerd chat. How they're talking about like the woes of trying to get a 5090 graphics card for their PC. The crickets in the back, weird stuff like it's little things like that I love in each podcast, that many people over time were just kind of like, oh, they don't want to hear about that. They want to get into the news and stuff like that. But when you've worked with some of these people and you've worked with them during like other content creations, it's kind of my way of getting to find out a little bit about their lives when we're all so busy playing games and doing reviews and stuff like that, that we don't necessarily get to always check in on them. So shout out to them for sharing just a little sliver of their own personal life in their podcast at the start, to give me a sense of like, how are they doing, which is kind of why I wanted to dive in the whole like roommate and divorce thing.
I have I fully agree with you. I have a routine because I don't typically catch X Talk live in its entirety. Like I usually get to lurk for a bit, and then the boys and I we jump on, because Thursday nights Joe's back from work and podcast, so we can play like our multiplayers. And then I usually catch the first few minutes of the nerd chat, but I don't stay up late on content. So pardon me. So I go to bed, and usually it's my Saturday morning over coffee that I catch the rest of X Talk, a good bit of Bitcast, but not all of it, and a bit of Asante show. And then at the grocery store, I listen to the rest of nerd chat and whatnot. And it's just fun to kind of like have those routines. And I like hearing about their personal lives as much as anything, but it's fun and it's uplifting to kind of have those moments for sure. So, all right. Let's see here, Logan. I wanted to start off. We see your questions, by the way, in chat, guys. I thank you. I'm pinning them so that we are going to come back to them. You're not being ignored or anything like that. I do want to say that XEP is getting the opportunity to review Avowed, which is exciting. I started Avowed. I can say that. I'm
jealous.
What's that?
I'm jealous.
I can try to get another one, but I'm playing Avowed. That's all I can say. You're going to handle our South of Midnight one, though, right? Okay. So
looking forward to that.
Enjoying the process of being included for Avowed, right? Like I'm not commenting on the game itself, and I can't talk about it more than that, other than to say I am reviewing it, and I'll have a video going up at Embargo Lift. And because we're kind of on the smaller side, it's a really cool opportunity, and I really appreciate them doing that one. So I'm excited for that. Get to review Avowed. We appreciate everybody checking out all the content we have put up, which is an Assassin's Creed preview, a John Romero interview, a Stealth Pivot controller review, an Astro A50 headset review, a Power Rangers interview, which admittedly that was for Luke Lohr. But it was cool to see so many people supporting us. And not to mention, let's give a shout out right here to Godhammer6, who I see on socials all the time, dropping $45 Canadian, saying, dipping into my show appreciation. Here's a little something for helping keep me sane during the work week. Thanks, fellas. That is tremendously kind, tremendously helpful, and appreciated. Because Logan, in addition to all these great things we've done, we have goals.
And dreams.
And dreams for sure. I think I shared on socials, and I'll let you elaborate. But I want to start by saying we got Summer Game Fest dates, which is one of our news topics. One of our news topics for Summer Game Fest is officially returning. It's going to be June 6th through the 9th. I went last year as both a fan and press, depending on like which event it was. I am hoping, fingers crossed, planning to do the same thing this year. So like it's on my plan for this year. And I've been putting Patreon money aside for the last 6 months. We use our YouTube monies for hardware, for games, for software, because there's a lot of software that goes into making content, to make sure that we've got that side covered. Patreon covers basically trying to get me to LA, which costs about $2,000 for our audience. And I will say in the last 6 months, I've saved about $800. It's now up to about $875. So I'm short of my goal and projected to be just a touch short, but very close to it. And I'm grateful to everybody in getting me there. But I just want everyone to know where their monies are going and that it does help us. And Logan, I think you said you wanted to take over there.
Yeah, it's one of those things where things like the super chats are extremely helpful. I'm kicking back up streaming on my channels to kind of start supplementing my income, just because it's one of those, like, not having a roommate means I'm going to have to pay for that half of rent and stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you to anyone who can support. If you are supporting, it makes the world of a difference for me. For example, like, a lot of my Patreon money from Keelhauled tends to go to my internet and my software charges. So, like, every month I pay Adobe $50 for the suite of their software. My internet every month is $150. So that's already covering like $200 that I really appreciate. So we really appreciate when you guys are supporting, and if you can support to help get us to other places, that will afford us the opportunity to continue to do more coverage in the way that you like it. So if there's ever an opportunity for you guys to join up on Patreon, or to do a super chat, that is always appreciated. It isn't required.
Never.
We're not saying that you have to do anything,
No,
but
God, no. Absolutely.
at the very least, it means the world of us to just have the show shared with other people. Or if there are content creators that you listen to, that you watch on a regular basis, definitely feel free to let us know too, because we love meeting new podcasters and getting in touch with them and seeing if that's something that we can work on, like doing shows with. But thank you for everyone that has supported. Thank you so much for everyone that has continued to support, even if it's a one-time purchase of like a super chat or something like that. It's always been very kind and very appreciated. We will 100% try to be as transparent as we can with how those funds are spent, to kind of ensure that the content is where that's going. Like, we are trying to make sure that we are making more content for you and building relationships with other companies to get cool stuff like that, so that you have an opportunity to go into purchases with some sort of knowledge or background from people that you trust to give you the honest opinion about.
Absolutely. Well said. And we really appreciate all of you. And let me be clear, like, and Logan said it, but I want to triple down on it. Yeah, if you don't have the money's time, no worries. That's fine. We appreciate you guys just hanging out with us. Liking and sharing is just as valuable in many ways. And so we are grateful to all of you. Godhammer, your generosity, man. Thank you so much for that kindness. Diehard79 in chat saying Trophy Room is a good podcast, more fair-minded than the name suggests. One thing I first of all, I agree, it is a great podcast, except for that ugly kid, Joseph Moran. Logan, before we get into the news, did you see that I think there was a company that wrote up, like a news outlet wrote up the Doom interview, and in the comment section, somebody wrote that Luke was an idiot with his, like, what was it? Fantasy picks, and that Trophy Room was going to win. Like, in the comment section of something, I was like, oh, that hurts. But also, that's hilarious.
All right,
Light and Kyle are amazing at Trophy Room.
I have to dispel the thing. So okay, so a little background right now. We have a group DM with a bunch of podcasts that we do for the for different content and stuff like that. And Eric in there used developer tools to go in and edit one of the comments, and then he screenshotted it and then posted that, and I believed it. So I went to go check, and then when I checked, it was not the case. Although the guy that did make a comment, his comment was unrelated, but he did spend a lot of time commenting on that website. But I feel bad. I don't want you to think that there's just this really mean person with a Homer Simpson profile picture.
I'm taking Light Gaming's advice, by the way. When people are mean in comments, you have to pay the troll tax. Like, you better subscribe or drop a super chat. That's what I've been like. That's what I said. There's somebody that wrote 4 different mean comments on my John Romero interview. And I was like, bro, you're going to keep going. Like, you better pay the tax. Like, one more grumpy comment out of you, which I thought was funny. All right, we've been blabbing. I hope you guys have enjoyed hanging out with us. We're just shooting the shizzle. Summer Game Fest is back, Logan. Summer Game Fest, June 6th through 9th. They're going to have 40 leading game publishers there. The event has multiple shows, multiple showcases, tends to tie in with Ubisoft and Xbox. And that seems to be the window that we're going to have a lot of those showcases in. I'm very excited for this. It's not necessarily that I think Summer Game Fest by itself is my personal favorite thing or whatnot. But what it means is that the industry is coalescing. So I think you can anticipate the Xbox showcase or whatever its modern equivalent will be, because they have been making changes over the last few years, to be right around in there.
Yeah.
Very excited about that. What's that?
I'm thinking it's probably going to be the 11th.
Yeah.
That's my bet.
11th? I think it's earlier.
Earlier than Game Fest.
Yeah, let's see, June 11th. Sorry, June 6th is a Friday. So I think Sunday the 8th is when you have it. They tend to do Sundays. I think Sunday the 8th is going to be the Xbox showcase. I don't know that yet. I haven't heard anything about that, but that's what I believe the Xbox showcase will be.
I was looking at May.
Yeah, I bet you Ubisoft Forward is on the 9th. And the SGF, like Jeff Keighley's thing, is going to be on the 6th for sure. So I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see what happens. Fingers crossed we get into it. I got to go last year and see all of the content creators, and then go into the behind closed door meetings, see games before they came out last year. Pillars of Eternity was on my list that I saw. God, I saw a bunch of stuff. It's all just kind of a blur now. But yeah, it was really cool. And so I'm anxious to see what this means for the industry. And I wonder if we will see Xbox take advantage of this opportunity to share more games that are going multi-platform. And I'm tying this into our kind of next topic and blending them. Forza Horizon 5 made its way on, or is making its way onto PlayStation. That announcement came through, which to me solidifies what they have actually been saying for the last 2 years. They've been demonstrating it for the last 2 years with, I guess you would say, non-pillar titles. That is until they put Sea of Thieves onto PlayStation.
Yeah.
But now that Sea of Thieves and Forza are there, I think, well, I know that the announcement for Halo is imminent, and Gears of War is imminent for when those things go on. I wonder if we see news during the summer showcase of Gears of War or Halo making its way onto PlayStation, and you do it at the showcase. Now, here's what I want you to pose this to you, Logan. The showcase is where your fans coalesce, where the diehard Xbox people will be watching, but it's also where the industry is watching. So you run the risk of alienating more fans, despite the fact that Xbox has been pretty clear at this point. If you're still dying on an exclusivity hill, then you are dying alone, or with a very dedicated group of people who will be forgotten.
There's a small group of people, all in green, who are very cold and very hungry up on a hill somewhere.
So, is this showcase the right time to announce more things going to PlayStation? For my money, for my way of thinking, when we hear about Switch 2's release date and whatnot, you're going to get a slew of Xbox titles coming into launch onto the Switch 2. And I think you'll coincide some PlayStation stuff there. But after this most recent Dev Direct, where they had no problem saying this game's going to PlayStation in their splash screen, I was cool with it. I'm on board. I have decided after playing with the MetaQuest 3 and the Steam Deck, I'm okay with non-exclusivity at this point. It's the way of the future. It keeps games and franchises I love alive. Forza Horizon's dope. I want more of that. So my question for you is this, and then we'll loop back. Do you anticipate these summer showcases to be where Xbox says Gears and Halo are going to PlayStation?
I hadn't actually thought of them using that as the avenue for it. I think that if they did, this would be the most Jeff Keighley was actually covering Xbox in a while. So I'd be very impressed to see, Jeff Keighley actually cover Xbox news via like Xbox content going to other platforms. So I was very I was very interested at the prospect of that, because I would like to see the Gears games and Halo make their way over to PlayStation and Switch too. Going through and listening to like Phil Spencer doing the rounds after the developer direct, it was very clear, like Xbox is no longer going to cater to the exclusivity mindset anymore. No. In a time where I thought, now that Xbox has all these games and they're one of the biggest publishers in the games industry, now would have been like the perfect time to rip the exclusivity cord and be like, all right, Call of Duty is going to be exclusive. If you want Call of Duty, you're going to have to buy an Xbox. They could have done that, and that could have like, it would have, in my mind, in like Earth 2, it would have been one of those situations where it would have been like, oh, this is how the console wars begin.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is somehow exclusivity has returned, and now we have to go and deal with the fact that Xbox is doing this, but they're not. They're doing the exact opposite. Not only are they keeping all the third-party content that they purchased and became first party into like multiple ecosystems and stuff, but now they're taking their own stuff and pushing it out otherwhere. So I think the Games Fest would be a great place, like an olive branch to Jeff, to be like, hey, we know you like your PlayStation news, we know you like your PlayStations.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna give you some content this year to promote, and it's gonna be all the stuff that we're gonna start pushing over there. My only trepidation behind that is we're going to be getting news in, oh god, what is it? Is it April? I think it's April for the Switch 2. I'm blanking on the actual like direct that they announced. And PlayStation needs to have a direct before summertime. Like they really genuinely need something before June. They need to tell fans what's coming
if they have anything. And I don't say that to diss, because we enjoy games everywhere.
They need something. They need to go buy something right now. Like if they don't have something, they need to give their fans something to play, because it is ridiculous the drought that they are dealing with right now. Like I'm scared that PlayStation 5s are going to start catching on fire. It's so dry over there.
Okay, but let me ask you, why? Because their console continues to sell. Well, industry is down, but like they're still quite successful. Nintendo has taught everybody that it doesn't have to be first party to sell units.
It's
why? Why does PlayStation need to worry about this? It's not like they're in danger of being caught.
I mean, it's fair to say that when the industry starts to lose some of the content that they don't have games that are coming out on a regular basis, that their fan base is going to be discontent with the console. And if they stop buying the console or they stop playing the console, then the sales are just going to go into used sales, and they're probably going to stop gaming. And while I don't think that that's going to be a main thing, but if you buy a car and you have nothing but troubles with it, are you going to be more inclined to drive that car, or are you going to be less inclined to drive that car?
Fair.
So if the console doesn't have, and granted, a lot of people use their PS5 as like their media source as well too. So it's not necessarily fair to say that gaming is the only thing you can do on these consoles. But I do worry that if they don't start getting games that people are enjoying and people are having a good time with, that they're going to be disenfranchised with the gaming in general. And they're going to, and maybe I'm just off my rocker. Most people are probably playing Call of Duty, playing Fortnite, playing Roblox, playing, Minecraft, things like they're not hurting for games by any means. But I also want PS5s to start getting a little more love. They just released a Pro. Like, bro, put out some content for the damn Pro. Stop just bumping up their old games and stuff. So I would love it if PlayStation had a direct soon, and that direct actually gave PlayStation fans like, hey, you guys never thought this was going to happen, but we're giving you Gears. Trophy Room saying that the PS5 is selling better than the PS4, which is great because a lot of people want their old games to play better. And right now, a lot of people are just playing a lot of games as services right now. But like Nerd Chat says in chat here, competition is important. I don't want PlayStation to fail. I knew like going into the PS5, their hubris from the PlayStation 4 was going to burn them up. And it did. They pumped out all their games for the PS4, and now they have nothing ready for the PS5. And I'm hating that right now.
I see Gentle Stone's comment. It sparks a mind. He says most PS5s are games as service machines, and I want to push back on that because he's being sarcastic, of course. And again, Gentle Stone, a wonderful community member, not trolling by any means. But I was thinking about this yesterday. Why Xbox is so bullish on putting their content everywhere, and why it's no longer a rat race of consoles and selling physical units. Because quite seriously, the console space seems to have maxed out, right? They peaked and maxed out. You're not bringing in a ton of new customers to the scale that would be profitable. And then I looked at news of Indiana Jones. This past week, we found out that Indiana Jones has 4 million players, not sold, but 4 million players. And the question of like, is that good or not, is one that anyone can debate. But you look at a single player game that is, I don't want to say strange, but like a first person Indiana Jones game is not what everybody would, or is not what somebody on paper would think is the GOAT, right? However, reviewed very well. People are loving it. When I think of a 4 million player first party, to me, that strikes a touch low because we're not hearing about sales. We're hearing about just number of players, and you've got 35 million people in Game Pass. And then again, not dunking on anybody. I don't know better. But when he mentions games as service, I think that is the real competition. And Xbox has got numbers this past week, sales are down, revenue's up, but this and that, and like some things look dire, some don't. The reality is that the gaming industry is not, the biggest issue is dealing with the games as service model. Most people are logging in and playing games as service. And what is helping Microsoft now go into this new phase of, we're going to put our games everywhere. If you have Game Pass, you're in a subscription service, we will take care of you. But Xbox now has Diablo and Call of Duty in the games as service category. And those are going to have a good long lifespan, Call of Duty kind of being the peak of that. They also own World of Warcraft, which continues to have a steady rate of players existing for them. And so somehow, some way, and not to dunk, but like Sea of Thieves had it for a good while. Sea of Thieves kept Xbox alive for a good bit with its live service model. Grounded, I think, did some good things for a small team. But games as service to me is the actual competition. And so when I see amazing games like Astrobot, amazing games like Indiana Jones get fairly low numbers, I wonder, is it PlayStation that's the competition? Is it Nintendo that's the competition? Is it PC and getting your 59?
Fortnite.
Or is it games as service? Because cloud gaming's going up and you don't need certain hardwares for that.
It's multiverses.
Multiverses destined to fail the moment they thought people wanted certain things in that. All right.
It's to your point, I think you're right. And I think that games as a service are one of the things that are taking people away from newer experiences. And to be perfect, here is my basis for like what is good versus what is bad. Nintendo back in 2017, coming off of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a successful launch where they had an over 100% attach rate for that game.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart 8, Snipper Clippers. We're not going to talk about 1-2 Switch. But then in June, they came out with a new IP called ARMS. And that game
sucks.
Exactly. That is the point. That is the point that I'm trying to make. That game has only sold 2.7 million copies as a new IP on one of the most successful consoles ever, with the largest length of time possible to be compared to any other game on that system. 2.7 million copies. So when I look at Indiana Jones and it having 4 million players, it doesn't matter if those people were playing like 10 minutes. They still invested in starting up the game. And because of that, like, it may not be copy sold. And the reason why I don't necessarily like look at copy sold versus player sold is the same thing, is because it is easier for you to have Game Pass and kick up, Indiana Jones. How easy is it for a kid to accidentally go onto their parents' Xbox and like start up Indiana Jones, and then the little counter kicks over and says, "Oh, that person played Indiana Jones." No, the adult was making dinner, and the kid had Indiana Jones on the screen for X number of minutes.
Are these scenarios you think happen?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm just curious. Like,
much darker ones if you want to. Like, I could go into some real macabre scenarios if you think that's how, like, some person, like, their throat is slit from like a home invasion, and they're like,
Jesus, Logan.
They're just like, the only thing they can grab is the controller, and they're squeezing it with their death grip, and it just activates Indiana Jones.
Last week I gave a shout out to Red Beast's 3 kids in the car. 2 seconds later, you're dropping the F-bomb, and I was like, Logan,
sorry. But I mean,
back it up.
I mean, I can go dark.
I know.
If you want. Like, that's easy. I live in the darkness. I was born and raised in the darkness. I clawed my way out of a hole in the ground in the middle of the desert because of the darkness.
By it.
So, which is weird. Like, you ever think about like what he meant by that? What did he? No, I'm just kidding.
A lot.
But yeah, I do think that it's much easier for people with Game Pass to be able to kick up Indiana Jones and for that to count over to the numbers. But the fact is that 4 million people trying the game is amazing for Indiana Jones, a franchise that you yourself feel is a very dead franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing that 4 million people is doing that, that's awesome, dude. I will champion that, because that's just the Xbox and PC release.
Mm-hmm.
We still have the PS5 release coming in May, which I think is going to be fantastic, because a lot more people are going to get an opportunity to actually try it out and engage with it. And it's not about where the game was published. It's about what studio made that content and giving the flowers to that studio who made an excellent game. That should be the core aspect of it. That's why we champion things like award ceremonies, like the DICE Awards and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. So when you see Forza Horizon 5 go over years after, head over to PlayStation, Sea of Thieves has gone over. What was it? Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded,
Pentiment, all that stuff.
There's one more. I forget what it was. They went over, and it helped Sea of Thieves. I don't know that Hi-Fi Rush or Pentiment really got a big boost. Grounded, I don't know. Like, I don't see
Grounded, from what I understand, did pretty well on Nintendo Switch.
Oh, great.
So that's I'm pretty sure I see it fairly frequently over there. Like, it's getting promoted and stuff.
So do you anticipate well, let me ask you Todd Oxtra's question, and that'll be a wonderful kind of segue here. I'm going to put this into the YouTube. This one comes from our buddy Todd Oxtra. Can't use that, it's too long. Boom, put it there. Let's see here. Okay. So Todd Oxtra says, Avowed and South of Midnight are two of the Xbox Game Studio games coming soon that weren't announced for PlayStation. Do you think this is due to more about the port needs or more time? Port needs more time, or a new IP? They need to get an exclusivity window like Indiana Jones. I have pretty strong thoughts on this one. Do you want to go off the cuff, or do you want me to lead with mine? Your call.
Go ahead. Jump in. I've been talking a lot.
So Destin Lagaria asked Phil Spencer a pretty poignant question of, like, is Starfield going to come to PlayStation 5? And Phil doubled down on the idea that there's no more red lines, right? Any game can go to PlayStation, can go to Switch, go to PC, whatever it might be. And so as for why Avowed and South of Midnight are not yet announced for those, or not announced for those, I think it's just a matter of timing and rewarding Game Pass subscribers and Xbox fans with content for the moment. I doubt it's a port issue. It could be that, they want to put the resources into launching the game well, given the way that Starfield and Redfall launched, and kind of being wary of the Microsoft Flight Sim cloud things, so they fix those quickly. It could be like a matter of making sure the resources go into getting the game out well first, because maybe they weren't built for PlayStation from the ground up, like something, say, Doom: The Dark Ages. But whatever it is, I think no longer should Xbox fans be expecting nor wanting, and I mean this sincerely, expecting nor wanting exclusivity windows. If there's going to be an exclusivity window, it needs to be expected and clearly message it's a year for Xbox fans, or there's no exclusivity. I do not like this. With this game's 3 months, this one's 6 months, this one might be a year. We're not sure about this one. I don't like that as a consumer. I would like clear messaging. One of the things I thought was very cool was when Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, whatever, had that cool shadow drop. That game is dope, by the way. I love a good button mashing game. Really enjoying that one. But when that game dropped, Xbox Game Pass fans were rewarded for being Game Pass subscribers. It was right there for them. You go in, enjoy yourself. 35 million people had access to it if they wanted it. And then it was everywhere else too. You want to pay $50 or $40 or whatever the cost. You want to pay that to go play Ninja Gaiden Black 2? Enjoy yourself. Rock on. It did not hurt me that they had to pay. It did not hurt me that I didn't. Right? It just was. I'm a subscriber. I was rewarded for it. So I hope that we get some more clearly concise clarity, I guess you would say, about this,
Mhm.
because I no longer care. I have crossed the threshold, if you will. I
Yeah.
no longer care. Like, Avowed, you want to put that on PlayStation at launch? If that was a thing, cool. You want to put South of Midnight 2 at launch? Cool. Put it all there at launch. If it means Xbox is healthy going into the future,
Mhm.
because Xbox, they've already told you they don't need hardware sales. They put out an ad, for God's sake, that said this is an Xbox. They've been pitching xCloud for how long? Okay. It was when Ninja Gaiden 2 happened, Logan,
Mhm.
and it was just Shadow Drop. There it is for me. It's there for
Yeah.
everybody else too. So suddenly more people could have the conversation, but as Game Pass subscribers, we were happy. Okay. That showed me that no longer does it matter. That
Yeah.
was another example of it doesn't matter anymore. Yes, it is different. And the old school Luke would have, I like that alternate timeline where they kept it all and they launched it exclusivity and they buried it and got the console sales. But that's not healthy for an industry that, for goodness sake, just exited people from making a decent Dragon Age game, but it wasn't enough. Cutting
Yeah.
ties. So I am on board with them putting things on PlayStation day one. I just want to be clear, you know?
I am in the mindset that I'm actually a little bit of the opposite. I'm okay with ports needing more time and them focusing on Xbox launch at the start because for example, like Obsidian, their first party, their content's been pushed to Xbox. They focus on Xbox during their development, and that's where a lot of time goes into that just getting that game running, going, and then out the door for Xbox is a big deal. Adding PC or adding PC availability is not too hard of an issue. Getting it on PlayStation 5 is going to take effort. And while they are working on patches for the Xbox release, I am totally fine with them taking the time that they can to work on getting their game ready for Xbox because that's where it's most important for the Game Pass subscribers to have content.
Mm-hmm.
So if we start to see more games like Avowed and South of Midnight, which we know will eventually go based on Phil Spencer's comments, they'll eventually go elsewhere, then I'm okay if there is that gap because there's not always going to be a defined timeline that they can stick to be like, okay, well, it's releasing in February for Xbox and PC. And then in June, we'll have the PS5 launch. And then June comes around, the port isn't doing well and they have to delay it. And now PlayStation fans who were expecting it in June are going to have that issue. So until a lot of these studios start to get into the mindset of we are going to have our game on multiple platforms from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm okay with these little like, okay, we're going to work on the PlayStation 1. It's not going to come right at launch, but give us time to make sure that it works properly, that we have the adaptive triggers because that's so important to PlayStation fans that you can blow into your controller. Like those are the weird things that they have to work out on top of the weird like has to work on the Xbox Series S, has to work on the Xbox Series X, has to be play anywhere, has to have X feature. There's other reasons why the port could be delayed, and if it does take that kind of time, I'm okay with that because for me, at least as a Game Pass subscriber, I'm going to get it with my subscription regardless. Like if we don't get another code for Avowed, I'm not fretting because at least you'll have coverage, and I still get it day one. I still get it with my Game Pass, so I'll be able to jump in and experience it with everyone else. Do I want studios to start building games for PlayStation 5 and Switch 2 day and date? Yeah, I do, but it's not something that I think they are going to be able to accomplish until the next generation of consoles for Xbox, if that makes sense. Like I think they need to get the studios kind of built up personnel wise and knowledge wise before they can start kicking out these PS5 and Switch 2 ports day and date.
I want to make sure that whatever they do consider or decide on, that whatever and wherever the game launches, it's in top shape, top quality. It does not benefit them, and in fact, I would argue it's a bigger detriment for them to put out a PlayStation 5 version or a Steam version or whatever it might be that doesn't run well. Looking at Spider-Man 2 that just came to Steam. Spider-Man 2 is one of my favorite games. Absolutely love that game. So good. Really disappointed with its PC showcasing, right?
How's the parry system in that?
The parry system?
Yeah.
I mean, like the dodging? There's no parry system.
There's no parry?
Not in
Everyone's talking
Spider-Man.
about there's being a parry in Spider-Man.
I've
been lied to. Ladies and gentlemen, don't believe anything on the internet. This is all made up. It's all fantasy. Apparently, there was not a parry system in Spider-Man 2 that I.
It's similar to the free flow like Arkham thing, where like when you see the spider sense, you tap dodge, and you get a reaction. So it's similar to like Sleeping Dogs.
So
gotcha. There is a parry system, says Nerd Chat. I played through the whole game, and I have no memory of this system. So if there is one, it doesn't remind me of something like, say, an Elden Ring or a.
The problem is that Luke visually cannot recognize a triangle. Like if you put a triangle in front of him, he doesn't see it. So there's a button on the controller that is a triangle. That could have been the parry button.
I mean, I played through that whole game. I guess what I'm trying to say is, when I think of parry system, I think of like slow motion in there, hit the right time, and then you get like a counter attack kind of thing. And I think very much Sword, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah.
I don't have that. Like if there is one in there, Nerd Chat is confirming and saying they played it this morning. That's awesome. I'm jealous of you. I want to play it on my Steam Deck. Dope. I don't even remember that being a thing in Spider-Man 2. So it must not be like the impetus must not be required all the time, every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, I pulled this off of that, but yeah, having a bad port for Spider-Man 2 to PC,
not helpful to the game, not helpful to Sony, not helpful to anybody, right? Yeah. And so if you send over Avowed, South of Midnight, if you send over Call of Duty, you send over not Call of Duty, but like you send over anything, it needs to be good. When Master Chief Collection makes its PlayStation debut, that shizzle better be amazing. You give them the absolute best of Halo. Let them have those incredible moments. Let them have those great music flare up moments because they deserve that. And it makes more Halo fans. People need to be excited when they see Xbox Game Studios pop up. When those people play Forza, that's a fantastic game. That's a fantastic game. And so I really hope the PlayStation community loves it and enjoys it. I really do. So
same. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the discourse between people when people who have rallied behind Gran Turismo 7 as like the epitome of racing games get into Forza Horizon 5, which is very much not a simulator game. Mm-hmm. And they're just gonna like I can't wait for the trolls to come out, the console warriors to come out and be like, look at this Forza game. This thing is trash. I can't adjust anything. Right. Nothing reacts to anything. I'm supposed to drive through signs. That's not racing. There's no driving through signs in racing. I can't wait for that discussion because those are going to be the YouTube videos, the clickbaity videos that are going to come out of it. But dude, Forza Horizon 5, like imagine a whole bunch of new people jumping into Mexico after all the updates, the battle royale that came out. There's so much content in that game. Yeah, and a freaking dude, a real banger of a soundtrack. Like the radios in that one are so good. But dude, Forza Horizon, I spent a lot of time in Forza Horizon 5. I bought it early. I played so many hours of that. So I'm looking forward to people getting their hands on that and seeing, like, part of me is kind of tempted. Like I wish there was a version of Game Pass for PlayStation that I could buy to get like access to it, just because I want to feel like what the adaptive triggers on the feedback triggers on the PlayStation DualSense would feel like on that gravel or like out on the beach with Forza Horizon 5. Like that is something that I am curious about.
That brings up a really cool talking point, a debatable point. I see a lot of people that maybe they're upset, maybe they're not. I truly don't know. But they say, well, like, how do you feel about some Xbox games running better on PlayStation 5 Pro or PlayStation 5 or whatever it might be?
Everything
I don't
runs
feel
good on
any
my
kind of way
PC.
about it. Like, I want it to run well wherever it's played. If PlayStation 5 Pro is the latest hardware, it should run well. It's fine. If the adaptive controller, or sorry, the adaptive haptic feedback on the DualSense 5 works, I want those people to have the best experience. That's dope, right?
Yeah.
I want that. It does not bother me. I don't think if you have a 1-to-1 coming out version of it that like you should have a framey bad experience. But like if I get 2 frames better on the hardware that's newer, okay, like cool, rock on. We're literally talking about a Switch 2 coming out as a PS4 powered device, talking about streaming Xbox games onto a Samsung TV or an LG TV. Well, those aren't going to be your optimal experiences. And so for me, as I look at these like scaled versions of games, play where you want to play, knowing that the money you put into it is going to affect the performance in many ways. You just want to make sure it runs well. Not Nerd Chat, I apologize. Nerds and Other Legends, new to our community in the last few weeks. Really great seeing them return. I was hesitant and fearful of Xbox strategy, but the truth is, if you put an Xbox game you love and it's a huge hit on all platforms, that is an affirmation of your fandom. Yes, I want more Halo. I want more Halo. There is a news cycle kind of circling around the idea of a new Halo game arriving sooner than we expect, whether it be a port, whether it be a remake or a remaster heading into more cool. That just makes better Halo, right? It hurt the Halo brand that the show was not top tier quality. It helped the Fallout brand that the show was not top tier quality, but it made more made more Fallout fans when that happened. And so I hope we get more Forza Horizon fans, because I think Forza Horizon 6 is a decent time away. Not like a 5-year thing, but like you got another year or two, I think, before you're seeing Horizon.
All I want is to be able to have little teases and nods to the Forza franchise in Fable. Like,
yeah, that'd be cool.
Don't put a car obviously in Fable, but if you have like a couple people talking about like how they're going on to they're going to race into the horizon on like little horse drawn carts, something stupid like that would be just.
I had a dream about orange tracks up in the sky. Like you think about the Hot Wheels stuff.
Yeah, little nods to the Horizon series would be great. I would love to have that in Fable, because I honestly like I'm kind of surprised that Horizon hasn't gotten another DLC dump. I don't think their last one was received as well. But I like 4 and 5 are really good games, and they had really good DLC content updates. So I do love that franchise, and I would love to have more of that in the future. But Ubisoft may still be around in the future, so we will. There's a decent chance we'll get another Motorfest, which is as good.
Motorfest is great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And motorcycles.
It is. One thing I consistently say this is that where Horizon did miss the mark for all its great wins, there should have been more nods to Halo, to Sea of Thieves, to Gears. There should have been more emphasis on that. You should have had a track where you were running or you're driving away from a Brumach, or driving through a Sea of Thieves battle on a Hot Wheels.
No, just give me a sloop with tiny little wheels. Like, that's all I want. Just put a sloop on little tiny little go-kart wheels, and let me drive the stupid little clown car around Mexico. That's what I wanted.
You know what? I'm here for it. I mean, I honestly, like, fine. If we can put Lilith in Call of Duty, why not? Why not?
Butcher. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, there's dumb stuff in games all the time. And you know what? Like, yeah, it can be a little immersion breaking, but at the same time, do you know how much money I've spent on Fortnite? I've spent a lot of stupid money on Fortnite recently for Cyberpunk 2077 and for Pirates of the Caribbean. Dude, I like my stupid fandoms in other places from time to time. It works really cool. Like, granted, I'm not going to buy like the brightest of brightest Call of Duty skins, but it's nice to have this. So seeing Forza Horizon 5, what I really want? Here's what I really want. Forza Horizon 5 going over to PlayStation 5. I want them to get one of those yellow clear paint spray DualSense controllers. Show PlayStation fans what a real custom controller looks like, because that Forza Horizon 5 controller was fire.
Was it? I don't remember it. That's cool.
You don't remember that? Look it up, dude. Look up the Forza Horizon 5 controller and tell me that clear yellow controller with the little speckles of multiple colored paint.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
One of the best controllers they've ever launched.
Yeah, that's good looking stuff.
Give PlayStation fans, like, they're excited about the dumbest colors, and then they get stuck with stuff like Fortnite controllers. Like, give them a freaking controller, you know? It's nice. So
yeah,
I hope that they do stuff like that. I hope that PlayStation fans start to get some really cool things. Like, imagine Forza Horizon. Imagine that controller as PlayStation plates. And just think about the wildness that would be. Do they still do the plates? I don't know.
I think they did like 3 versions of them, like a 30th anniversary, a Spider-Man-esque one, but basically D-brand and third party to take over. Now let me retool this question, because we're having fun and we're kind of going down rabbit holes. A lot of people might kind of haphazardly say that Xbox is going the way of Sega and being third party. I don't feel that's a 1-to-1 though. I don't think that's an accurate comparison. I appreciate that, you know, Sega do what Nintendo don't, and they were big rivals and such. But I feel like this current climate is more about maximizing and capitalizing on the brands they have. When you own Elder Scrolls, Warcraft, Call of Duty, Diablo, Halo, Forza, Gears of War, Sea of Thieves, and you've got smaller projects like Grounded, Avowed, South of Midnight, Hellblade, and Age of Empires, Ara, Mythology Retold. Like, you've got all of these things. This is not a Sega limping in, hoping that Sonic sells, and they're going to put it everywhere to rebuild the brand. This is a powerful behemoth of a publisher, maximizing the reach of its brands in a time where games as service and Netflix and subscriptions and all this are taking consumers' time and money. So I feel like this is a very different approach. And again, the Luke of 2-3 years ago really would have probably not chosen these things, but I'm okay with it now. I'm on board. Like, yeah, we're the expansion pass. Like, we're expanding. Okay, cool.
I think the fear is, and I genuinely have this fear as well too. Like, the fear of not having Xbox hardware is one that it feels like it's ever looming. Like, when you decentralize your console as the main selling point of your ecosystem and you love that console, it is extremely hard to feel confident that when the money starts to come in from all this third-party content, or from all this content going third party, that the hardware aspect of Xbox will diminish and not have as much attention or focus. And shout out to Sarah Bond, because I think that she is the one that consistently feels like she's championing the Xbox hardware. And I think it's one of those things where if Xbox stopped doing hardware, I would be sad, because I like having a box out on the TV that is my easy way to gain access to my entire library for Xbox with features that I can't get on other platforms. But at the end of the day, if that happens, it sucks. But knowing that a lot of the content that they make is going to be moving over to another box, I would hope that my only hope is that when you remove another console out of the industry, competition suffers. And there are most definitely lessons from Xbox that PlayStation has picked up on. And there are definitely lessons that Xbox has picked up from PlayStation because of the way that those two companies went with their hardware. So as an Xbox fan, I would be sad if I didn't have a box that had Xbox on it. But I still have my PC, so it's not the end of the world. But the question I want to pose to you is, now looking at Satya Nadella's like comments about, you know, services being up, hardware being down, them doubling down on like AI and cloud and how that's going to be the future. When do they make Game Pass the only way that you can access Xbox content from Xbox, and they no longer sell the games separate? When is it that when will the day come when, if you want Xbox content, you have to subscribe. You can no longer purchase their games separate, because that is the fear that I have. My fear is not, will they get out of the console business? My fear is they will take away the ability to buy games independent of Game Pass.
Okay. I don't think that's going to happen for any sustained amount of time. And I will cite looking at what a number of the subscription services did during COVID and after with their content. They incentivized users to come to Disney Plus, to Apple Plus, to Paramount Plus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They did that by having exclusive shows. But then quietly afterwards, when the numbers kind of stopped going up, and Game Pass numbers have stopped going up, right? Even with Call of Duty, they really didn't kick up too much. Like we've never gotten that 50 million announcement. What did those film and TV companies start doing? Suddenly, if you want to watch your show, you can buy it on digital storefronts in multiple places, or you can subscribe. You can go watch Reacher and purchase it from other digital storefronts, or you can subscribe to Amazon and watch it there. And so, because those companies realize that they do want incentives for people to enter into their ecosystem and subscribe, but the reality is they can make more money if they bring people in to subscribe and get their 10, 15, 20 bucks a month, whatever it is, because they keep raising prices. But if they also sell it over here, at least they're not losing this market. So I don't think you're going to sustainably see a future where Xbox says you have to be on Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's it. Because the reality is they are like, who's going to go to Game Pass for Hellblade en masse? Hellblade to me is one of my favorite games of that year. I love it. I stand by my review. I think it's one of the best games around what it does. But like, no one's subscribing to Game Pass for Hellblade, right? Yeah. They didn't subscribe for Call of Duty. So Xbox would be foolish to then deny people a way to purchase and put money into that. So I don't think that is a reality that you're going to face en masse. If anything, some hoity-toity executive or some Satya level equivalent says, "Oh, we're going to do this," and it doesn't work, and very quickly they pivot back. Because I just don't see a world where that is sustainable, particularly as like costs are going up for hardwares. Why should Xbox worry about trying to sell 20 million boxes, 30 million boxes when you're dealing with tariffs and governments and resources, when Asus is willing to do that, when Logitech's willing to do that, when other, I forget the verbiage, OEMs are willing to do that. Yeah. So that's why I'm less concerned than I would have been, should have been maybe. I just want to play the games now.
You had an interesting point about why people aren't buying Game Pass. I thought of another reason why people won't be buying Game Pass. MLB The Show 2025 is not coming to Game Pass this year.
That's the first time that's happened in a long time, right?
Yeah, I think we've had 2 years where it's come to, I guess it's been a hot minute, because didn't it come? While. Yeah, didn't it come in like 2022?
It was early. Yeah, it was a while ago, because MLB was like, "Hey, you're missing out on people."
Yeah. So that was an interesting news thing that came out. I was kind of surprised, like MLB Show was confirmed for not actually releasing on Game Pass, which to me shows that the return on investment wasn't big enough for Xbox to have to pay Sony for that extra like kind of bit there. So it'd be interesting to see, like, as Sony starts to put their content on PC, when will they eventually start to put their content elsewhere? And will it be Nintendo or will it be Xbox first?
Restate your question. So you're asking when Sony's going to go multi-platform?
Yeah, when Sony eventually goes multi-platform outside of PC, are they going to go Xbox or are they going to go Nintendo first? Because I mean, they technically are already done both with MLB The Show and Forza Horizon Lego, but
not Forza Horizon, Lego Horizon.
I know games.
So I see Trophy Room saying never. There was a time where if Jim Ryan was there and still in charge, but they have taken it on the chin. They have taken it on the chin this generation in terms of loss, right?
Yeah.
Because they sell consoles like crazy. They
Yeah.
crushed it with their single player, but they have collapsed Concord. They have struggled with their Concord died, right? That thing didn't even make it 2 weeks.
So sad.
They Astrobot's out there, not a big game. God of War is great, but like, would it have sold more if it was on a Nintendo platform? Yeah, I'm sure they've got numbers somewhere.
Yeah.
PlayStation's got to find a way to bring more monies in. Unfortunately, that Insomniac hack, rather, I should say, showcased the trouble with return on investment that Sony is in. And it's not a diss. Like, on the consumer side, I want a healthy Sony, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at a future far more likely where Sony goes to Nintendo far sooner than they would have if they were still outputting God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, and all of their other first-party successes. But from Destruction All-Stars all the way through now to Concord, they got a lot of misses. They collapsed a live service God of War game, right? Like, front-facing.
really, like, how is that going to work?
That was a stupid ass thing to do. Just even consider that. But like, front facing, Sony's and PlayStation, I should say, is doing very well. But on the back end, everything that those who are paying attention and care, which you shouldn't, by the way, like, it's not looking good, right? And I'm like, yeah, they're gonna put their stuff more in other places, because it's trophy room and they're losing their mind. Pay the troll tax. You're not going to see any mainline games on Xbox or Nintendo. You're blatantly wrong. You're absolutely going to see them on Nintendo.
I'm going to toss out my prediction on this. I think you're right about them going to Nintendo first.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that in them kind of taking games. So I think Horizon and I think Spider-Man are going to be the ones that Sony looks at as ways to scoop up more of that, like give a little one and then give a big one to Nintendo for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And dude, if you sell Spider-Man on Switch 2,
yeah, you're outside of your mind if you don't think Spider-Man 1 remastered is coming to Switch 2. Like, out of your mind. Out of your mind.
It's gonna be insane.
So Trophy Room says, I'll wear a Luke was right shirt if I see Last of Us on Nintendo. That's not necessarily what I mean. But like, Spider-Man Remastered is going to Switch 2. That's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense for them to continue restricting themselves, knowing that they've taken so many L's on the back end the past 2 years, right? The Jim Ryan model did not work. The Sean Layden model did work, but it's not sustainable in current markets. And again, these are not dunks on PlayStation, right? You don't dunk on the person that outsold your console 4-1, 5-1. No, this is just changing economic times. Xbox is being forced to adapt to survive. PC spaces, play anywhere. These are all things that are having to adapt to survive. So I really do want to see Spider-Man freed up from Sony. Why wouldn't you, right? It's the best chance of selling.
Yeah.
So I just don't see Sony surviving if they continue to do, as Gentlestone is saying, play the console wars. That's like, they already won. And honestly, if they're still playing the console wars, they have one opponent, and it's Nintendo. And they don't have a prayer of beating Nintendo on a Switch 2 unless we have a Wii U scenario, right?
Which is not going to happen because it's literally just the Switch, just better. So all they have to do is put out new games that look a little bit better, and people will buy it because they bought the OLED, they bought the Lite, they bought the Switch, they bought the revision to the Switch. Like, people enjoy the Switch. So you give them something that runs a little bit better. Like, you could navigate the store at a decent pace. Like, people just want to be able to spend money in their store without having to wait like 5 minutes to get to the game. Like,
yeah,
they won.
So I see Nerds and Other Legends saying, like, PlayStation. You have to consider that none of the best-selling charts, most played charts, are PlayStation games for more than anything other than a blip. This is what Sony is chasing. He's right. And I will just to defend, or to give you a counter argument, same could be said about Indiana Jones, right? I don't expect Avowed or South of Midnight or kind of these other, like, smaller tentpole moments for Xbox to do the same thing. Those are content for people to play over a long lifespan, long-tailed games, but they're not meant to be chart-topping wins, right? Those are the live service ones are going to do that. And then I don't think it's fair to put in a qualifier. If it's not a sports game or superhero, I don't think it'll come Nintendo. No, that wasn't the question. That wasn't the statement. Yeah, like Spider-Man's going to Switch 2. It's going to happen. Why wouldn't you? You're just going to up your sales on that old game and bring people to hey, we can't put Spider-Man 2 there because of power. Do you want to play Spider-Man 2? Come to PlayStation. Like that will happen. Same thing with putting Halo. Why wouldn't you put Halo on PlayStation now?
Days Gone is definitely going to eventually show up on other consoles. Like that is going to they need to remake. They need to, and Joe, Joe talks about this on his show all the time, how they need to recoup their losses. They need to make the money for this and stuff. And I think that it is naive of us to not include Nintendo when it comes to like content recouping their losses on their platform by putting it to other consoles. This is exactly why Nintendo has been like trying to get all of that like money with their content, but then pulling in all of those indie games for their stuff. It's just necessary. It's just one of those things that they have to do.
Spatial Katana, joking of course, but you know, PC Master Race, you will not find Luke Lohr saying that like PCs are everything, right? But like there's a reason why all of the games are now available there, right? So I don't think it's fair to say like, no, it's off the table. Everything's on the table now because the industry cannot afford to not make money. Again, Dragon Age, just let people go. Let people go because their game didn't sell enough. That's terrifying and not good. It's unhealthy. And so I just don't see a reality where people get to be mean. And Nerd Chat saying Luke is on the handheld PC train now. Yes, sir. Yep. That's not a dunk to Xbox, but like, or to PlayStation or anything else. Yes, because the reality is Xbox is now a handheld PC world. They're putting their games there. They're pushing their stuff there. They've talked about making their own. I'm going where my games are. And currently I can play Halo, Spider-Man, and Arkham. And if I wanted to, like, you know, when the time comes, the new Xbox games have out, South of Midnight, etc., on my Steam Deck. You can do it on your ROG. You can do it on your MSI Claw. You can do it there. So why wouldn't I open myself to the option? I will not die on a hill for a box. I will die on my hill to play the games that I want to play. And Xbox makes Gears and Halo and Forza and Sea of Thieves and all these games that I love. But Sony makes Spider-Man and I love Spider-Man. You know, I'll go where my games are. That's what I will do.
Yeah. I think it would be wild if Sony didn't take advantage of the new system, because that's been the thing, is like Nintendo's putting out a new console. You want to sell games, you're there day one. You go shove your content over onto that PlayStation 2 because you want people to like feel what it's like to have good games on a Switch 2. Like, give them the PS4 games, give them the Xbox One games. Like, there's going to be a port of Sea of Thieves over onto the Switch 2 eventually. Like, it's just going to happen. Like, they're working on optimizing the game. They're not working on the optimizing the game without thinking like, hey, could we put this over on Switch 2? Because I think we could probably put this over on Switch 2. Yep. I'm pretty sure they got a room full of Switch 2 hardware somewhere in Rare's headquarters that they're like quietly working on a port. But it's one of those things, like, it's just going to happen. And I feel like we've had to be the guinea pigs for this with Xbox. But now that we see, like, okay, this is going to help sustain the industry so that we continue to have good experiences. Like, games are expensive, and making games is even more expensive. So I would love for Sony to start making up for some of this lost revenue from all of these games that they've canceled, and just start shoving things like Ratchet and Clank over on Switch 2.
Yeah, put it on Switch 2. Is Ratchet and Clank on PC? Because like that's a great Steam Deck or ROG Ally game.
Is it?
While you look that up, I want to, because I'd like us to go ahead and transition into talking about Ninja Gaiden and Sniper Elite, because we got some hands-on time with those, and I got to play and do coverage for that. I also want to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters, the people that are helping me get to LA.
Yes,
so I'm gonna run that. It is dope. Okay.
Ratchet and Clank is on Rift Apart.
Okay,
and
gotcha. Great game. I love that game.
It is verified on Steam Deck.
Ooh, doctor. Oh my gosh. Okay, good.
And you know what? They're charging $60 for it, which is definitely not what I paid for it. But
yeah, I think I got it on like PS Plus sale or something. Maybe. All right, let me, if you don't mind, I'm going to read these patrons. I'm going to read these guys and thank anybody and everybody that went to patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass, helping me get to LA safely. Currently at $870 some odd of my goal, and I appreciate all of you. I want to give a shout out to our tier 2 and 3 patrons, starting with Fado, Aaron G, Nick Bentley, The Scarecrow, Ken Rosing, Fabian Winkler, Stephen H, Edward, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Rob Frawley II, Tal Zochi, Nicholas Johnson, Randall Thor 19, Hafrican, Game Positive, Jam Pack Sam, Rick Davis, Matt Valdez, Red Beast, Dano 12, DJ Hero, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, and Sony's VP of Marketing, Kevin Butler. Thank you all for helping me get to LA. Thank you all for supporting XEP. Thank you to anyone and everybody who has clicked like, subscribed, shared, etc. We appreciate you. Let's see. Logan, I have played and been playing a good amount of Ninja Gaiden Black 2. Been enjoying it a great deal. This is a button masher's dream. Everybody says this game's super hard through no talent at all, because I'm just button mashing and doing cool stuff. I don't even know how I'm doing it. I'm having a blast. I do not find this game to be hard on the normal difficulties so far. So if that was holding anybody back, I hope it doesn't. Weird camera all day long, but a fantastic action game. I don't know who said it on socials, but I was over on Blue Sky and someone said, in a world of Dark Souls and Elden Rings, make more Ninja Gaidens. Having a ball with it. Love it. Agree with that. I love the action game showcase that it's doing, and it made me excited for Ninja Gaiden 4. Have you played any of the Ninja Gaiden games ever? Yeah, talk to me.
Well, I mean, we had B-roll that from my gameplay last week when we were talking.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's fun. I have not gotten to jump back into it because I've been busy with other stuff, obviously, like the reviews and whatnot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, dude. The action adventure games, the Devil May Cries, the Ninja Gaidens, the Bayonettas, like I'm always enjoying those. Like those feel good. They're fun. You just run around and you do combos and you just deal with multiple enemies. It's one of those ones that I think, because this is 2025 is the year of the ninja. Like we need to get Vanilla Ice back. We need to get Go Ninja Go to get repopularized in the zeitgeist of 2025, because we've got Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. We've got Assassin's Creed Shadows. The Call of Duty season right now, it's all ninja. All of it is ninja. We got the Year of the Snake. It's there. We got what else I think we got Ghost of
Yotai.
We've got Ninja Gaiden Ninja Gaiden 4.
It's a lot. It's kind of cool.
A lot of freaking ninja going on this year. 2025 is the year of ninja, and 2
Ghost of Yotai is technically samurai, right? I don't want you to get flamed in the comments. That's all. Samurai and ninja both.
You're running around with wolves, ripping throats out of guys. Like that is some ninja stuff. I don't remember the last time I saw a samurai doing that stuff. Also, the whole point of Ghost is that you play both sides of the line. Like you have ninjas, and that you're dealing with the dichotomy of like, how do you save your country the honorable way if the only way to deal with these people is to use fire with fire? Like that is the whole premise of Tsushima, and I love that game because of it, because it explored like the moral ambiguity that you have to take on if you're going to do what it takes to save your country. And if that means, you know, giving up a bit of that sliver of honor to be the anti-hero, that's what you got to do.
I like it. I'm here for it. I am loving Ninja Gaiden Black 2. the one they just put out as a shadow drop. I played all of these games, or not all. I played a Sigma 1 and 2 on my Vita. Shout out to Vita, love Vita. Played a lot of Ninja Gaiden there. These are those games that I don't know what I'm doing and why it's cool, but I love it. The camera is a mess, but like you get used to it very quickly, you know. And I'm discovering stuff, having a good old time. I'm really just having a blast with these no thinking games, because for Avowed, I'm engaged and I'm thinking. Like, these are thinking games. Like, you are paying attention, you're dialoguing, you're going through. There's another game coming that I'm gonna have to put a lot of thought into. Monster Hunter Wilds. I've got that review right after. I'm like 1-to-1. Like, as soon as I'm done with Avowed, it's going into Monster Hunter when that arrives. So those are thinking games. So like the Ninja Gaiden is my like non-thinking game, you know. And I really do recommend it. I think a lot of people are overselling how hard the game is on normal. I think it's very manageable.
There's an easier setting than that too, if I recall.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can go down and
easily.
Yeah.
And it looks good too. Like the Unreal Engine 5 like test bed that they made for Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, going into Ninja Gaiden 4. I'm excited because I genuinely do think that game looks really, really good compared to like what I've seen from the original one. Like the lighting is better, the textures look fantastic, the models are a lot nicer. Like the gameplay still feels very familiar. Like it still feels like you're playing Ninja Gaiden 2. So there's going to be like some weird stuff in there. But yeah, dude, it was like the Ninja Gaiden games are fantastic. Like they've always been like a standout, and I've always kind of just associated them with Xbox. Like the first one came out on Xbox, and you know everyone was talking about being a master ninja and whatnot, and how hard it was, and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's fun, it's a good game. But yeah, I'm glad that we're getting this now. I'm glad it's on Game Pass. It's surprising to me that they started working on that deal back in 2017. Like,
yes.
That was surprising to hear from some of the interviews with Phil Spencer. I was just like, dude, that's like a Sea of Thieves length. That's like a Switch length of time to be working on this. And they kept it under wraps. They were just like, oh yeah, we'll just keep that quiet, and then we'll just shadow drop it. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. It was surprising, to say the least. And to recap on your like Year of the Ninja, I love it. Having gone through the preview for Assassin's Creed Shadows, I loved the shinobi approaches, like playing as Nawe, a full shinobi. She was awesome. I really did enjoy the brute approach of Yasuke, but like for me, like being Nawe was more fun because I was more agile and more assassin like. But I'm really excited for that game. I don't know when and how I'm going to play it. Like, I'm glad they moved the release date just because Avowed, then Monster Hunter, then I think there's one other thing that I'm thinking
Nothing
of in there.
March. Nothing in March except Shadows.
Question mark? Maybe. I feel like there's something else that's happening in there.
Maybe.
Atomfall, because you got Split Fiction. So I'm looking at your list. Split Fiction, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Atomfall. And then for those that care, First Berserker Kazan are all in March. March is stacked.
Dude, First Berserker Kazan, I have not gotten to jump into the demo, but having watched people like play that and stuff, that game looks fantastic. But yeah, no, and Fragpunk too. Fragpunk's coming out the same day as Split Fiction. Can't wait for Split Fiction. That's going to be amazing.
I am in no way excited for Split Fiction because I don't have a partner that I play with, like in those kind of games, you know. Are you and Jen gonna tackle that one?
I think we are. I think we're gonna try that one out. Yeah, because like I'm more sci-fi, she's more fantasy, and I'm looking forward to seeing like how this story gets played out, because there's going to be a little bit of like for both of us. It's like, that's cool. I can't wait for that.
Can I say Spatial Katana is my spirit animal? Like, we're spirit brothers. He's super stoked for Doom the Dark Ages. They said that earlier in the ninja conversation, because Doom the Dark Ages, you're down, it's parrying and shields and swords, and it's like, wait, what? I'm here for Doom the Dark Ages. That is my most anticipated game this year. I don't know if Can of Beans is still in chat, but he asked me the other day in person, you know, what's your most anticipated game? It's Doom the Dark Ages. So yes, absolutely. Looking forward to that one, and that is going to be like, fingers crossed that game is as good as it looks. I'm just so stoked for that one. But I'm loving just all these good things that are happening. We're adding Tales of the Shire to our list, Nisa. Or Nissa. He's doing it right now. I'm watching him do it.
It does look like a cute game, by the way. Like, as a cozy game and an Animal Crossing fan, like, I'm not gonna lie, like the Hobbit life lends itself well to a cozy game. Like, you could justify being a farmer and doing some fishing and talking to people in Hobbington. No, how I can't remember.
There.
Yeah.
I want to give if I can, before we do listener questions, if you've got questions, put them in, guys. We'll save them and do them at the end. Sniper Elite Resistance came out on Game Pass on January 30th, so it's out now. You can play it. I did a preview for this one, which I really enjoyed the preview. I played a bit of my review coverage, but just with some of the stuff that we have going on in front-facing that you guys can see and stuff that you can't see, to include the Avowed review. I did not get to make a video on Sniper Elite Resistance, so I will say that I wanted to just give some time to it here on the show. Sniper Elite Resistance is more Sniper Elite in a great way. If you love the Sniper Elite games, and they've been comfortable Game Pass supporters since Sniper Elite 3, this is more of it with a lot of tweaks and improvements, and I really do enjoy these games, and I am anxious to go back. This is on my list to play once I get a break, because I really do love it.
After Mass Effect 2 and Indiana Jones?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. Mass Effect 2, I was given the challenge to play that before the summer.
So
that won't happen.
You were given the ultimatum to do it, or certain someone's going to pull their Patreon funds.
My best friend in the real world is going to do it. So like, I don't want anybody to think it's like some actual like dire thing. Yeah, challenging me to play Mass Effect 2. Because I did not enjoy Mass Effect 1. It was a dated, boring affair. So I snagged Mass Effect Collection on Steam Deck yesterday because it's on sale for $10. So I got all 3 games for my Steam Deck, which is a steal for anybody given the quality. And I will not be playing Mass Effect until probably July, at least after the June showcases, because I want to do all this stuff for coverage. I still want to enjoy time with my friends playing Rivals and Fortnite. And there's just too much to cover. And honestly, like, Mass Effect's the game that you want to be focused on. The busiest months of the school year are the end months. So I'm not going to be even giving Mass Effect the time of day till at least mid-June. But I bought it, and I'm prepared for it on either my Steam Deck or my Xbox. I own it in both places. I will try Mass Effect 2. I will tell you that if I don't like it, I'm not sticking around just to do it. If he dies, he dies. But and so could it saying, see, proving games as a service, keeping people from playing great games. If they're great games as service, whatever. Like, having a blast playing what I like, and I'm playing with my friends. I'm enjoying that.
Thank you, Silken. Thank you. I have not been playing Call of Duty or Diablo 4 or any of my normal staples of like Sea of Thieves. I haven't been playing any of those, and I've been playing nothing but very great games that have passed me in the past. I have not touched them in the last 4 hours.
Yeah, there you go. Good on you. Games of service games rock. You just have to play the ones that you like. All right, we've got a lot of listener questions that we have not gotten to. Let's snag. I put them in green just so we didn't miss them. This one comes from Chipotle Bear from the Nerd Chat. And he says, loved Logan's recent review, talking about your A50 review. What would each of your top 3 gaming peripherals or hardware reviews to do this year? But here's the catch. Can't be a specific game, can't be a handheld. I'll review a teleprompter all day. Anybody wants to send me a prompter that I could do for reviews where I don't have to like glance down and up and I can just see the camera? I'll do that all day.
Yeah. So that's honestly, that's one of the ones that I would like to do a review for, but it's tough because that's more from like a content creator's perspective than like a gaming perspective, which is really tough because, to be perfectly honest, like, there's not a whole lot of hardware out there that I'm familiar with that I would be able to like say like, oh, for sure, I definitely want to try out X controller next, because I have not really been shopping around for other controllers. We get presented with opportunities for a lot of controllers to be able to like dive into those, and a lot of those are ones where I'm like, I have no clue, but I'll happily jump in and try it out. Like the pivot's a great example of me not realizing that that was a controller and then getting it and then being like, okay, I can see like the use case for this. I think this is a really good get for Xbox fans on PC who want to have like something for regular like FPS, retro, and fighter games. Like it's a good controller for that. But I don't have anything like on my list that is like game centric hardware right now. Stuff from Scuff would be like on that list. Like I have yet to ever work with a Wolverine. I think a Wolverine would be a great opportunity to compare and contrast with like the Stealth Elite Ultra. There's so many like different ones out there that I just genuinely have not really played around with, but I would say like I am in the market right now for a teleprompter, but they looking at options, those are still so expensive for what they offer, and none of them feel like they're really good solutions without big asterisks. So it's a tough one in the hardware realm for me to be able to point to something and say like that is the thing that I want to review next. But that's a good homework assignment. Like go and take a look and see like what other hardware's out there so that I can get an opportunity to see like how does it compare? Does it really good? Maybe I need to hit up Jam Pack Sam and see what he's been reviewing and see what he thinks would be a good option to check out and stuff as well too.
Agreed. I will say very similar. Like hardware is not like I'm a console gamer at heart, and I'm having to expand my mind in Horizons as Xbox expands their platform in general. So I'm learning about hardware as we go, and I learn from people like Jam Pack Sam, who I will say again, and I doubt he's made it this far in the show, but like Sam is the best of us. I think he is probably the best and most talented content creator I've ever seen. His rate of learning is incredible. The content he puts out continues to improve. He understands where to put content, and his voice works just perfectly for it. So like I learned from Sam, which is interesting or fun for me. But yeah, hardware, if it the whole premise for me in hardware is like, does this help the Xbox community? Does this help Xbox? Does it impact the ecosystem? That's really it. Like I would not actually review a teleprompter because I don't think that would be an interest to the people that subscribe to our channel. When I discover stuff that the Xbox community can interact with, then I want to cover it. But I try to do so. Every review you hear Luke Lauren, I tell you where I'm coming from, because like I'm not these tech gurus that are incredible at what they do. And then if a company trusts us with giving us a review copy, I want everyone that watches it to hear where we come from. So
yeah,
it's a good question though. It's a good question. We have a question here from Stormy Sea Dog. Says, what frames per second or resolution will we see PlayStation with Forza? I hope it's 60 or 120. 120.
Yeah, I'm assuming 60 native 4K will be what they shoot for. Panic Button is doing the port for this because obviously like Ground Games is a little busy with something else right now. And I think that Panic Button does a good job with ports. So I'm anticipating them having a 4K native with, or as close to 4K native as possible with a 60 FPS. I would hope that they do a port or a patch for the pros that offer the 120. But it'd be very interesting to see them like go a little bit above and beyond with it and actually do something where they're like, oh, hey, we're going to introduce like ray tracing, something like that. But I don't expect that. I expect that this will probably be a parity push for what Xbox has.
Agreed. Freight Conductor asks us and says, do you see Xbox using the cloud streaming option to get around whatever issues they have in bringing games to their PC store? For example, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 isn't in the PC store, but it was announced for cloud streaming. That's a great question and one I want to look into more. I might be poking Jez Corden a little bit, finding out some stuff on this one. I think the cloud gaming avenue is a great way to reach anywhere they can't get native versions of something, but I do wonder why some things work and some don't. because to me, Kingdom Come Deliverance isn't falling into the same Call of Duty category where it's like a region necessary thing or publisher thing. So I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah, I've not been following Kingdom Come Deliverance at all because I don't know that that's going to be something that is really like in my wheelhouse. I'll be watching reviews to kind of get a gauge on whether or not it will be. But it's nice that the cloud streaming option will be available as an avenue for folks that want to try it on their PlayStation, or not their PlayStation, their PC. But I think for the most part, I would imagine that most PC players will probably just pick it up on one of the stores that they have on there. So Xbox using the cloud streaming option just sounds like they couldn't get the deal for whatever reason. They couldn't work out the logistics of getting that on there, because otherwise I don't know why they wouldn't have that on there. It's kind of like why we won't see a lot of Xbox games over on the Epic Store for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. I just wish I had a better answer for you. Dark City says, I'm happy to play great games and I love Game Pass, preloaded South of Midnight, Avowed, and 33. I think it means Expedition 33.
Yeah.
Maybe not 33 Immortals. I don't know. It's weird. But South of Midnight, man. Oh, that game looks so good. That game looks so good. Hazel, respectfully.
I'm looking forward to that story. I think the creatures that they've come up with for like the different cryptoids or like mythologies and stuff that they've added as like the kind of way to work it through. So looking forward. It's a southern version of Wizard of Oz that I'm excited to see where they go with.
Yeah. And it's something that's too often overlooked, that Southern Gothic approach. I'm here for it. Absolutely. we had a question. It's long since back there, but it had to do with like Phil's gaming shelf. Like the gaming shelf. Fun fact, I do that on XEP all the time. I put stuff in our background that's relevant to things that are coming out that people don't catch. And it makes me happy. It's fun. Yep. It's fun. Let's see. We have one more. Let's go with Stormy Sea Dog's question here. What do we need to keep in mind? Forza is like, what we do need to keep in mind is Forza is like an arcade game, like Need for Speed or Test Drive. I presume that Stormy Sea Dog's talking like for the PlayStation audience, like not a Forza Motorsport Gran Turismo.
Yeah, I expect that a lot of folks are going to do that comparison because it is an Xbox racing game, and Forza has been like the franchise for all of their racing. I'm fully anticipating people going in and being like, "Oh, look at Forza Horizon. How does it run? What is it? How is it compared to GT?" And honestly, I think that those are going to be really bad comparisons. I would kind of hope that more people are making the argument for how does it run, and using that as a way to indicate Xbox's commitment to PlayStation gamers that you are going to get a good port of the game.
Yep. I agree. Well, I'll ask anybody that's watching, if you haven't hit that like button, please do so. Logan, I feel like that's a good spot to wrap up, unless there's something I've missed that we need to talk about.
I don't think there's anything that we really missed. There's been a lot of news in the industry lately, and I'm hoping that realistically, like, it feels like we're slowing down on the whole like closures and layoffs. Like we're still getting them on a regular basis, but it feels like the industry as a whole is kind of slowing down on that. Luke, are you going to pick up Hello Kitty Adventure Island on Nintendo Switch?
Hello Kitty Island Adventure is something that I am very excited for, because that's from the same title as the game that they make fun of in the South Park Warcraft episode.
Yep.
So for the last 20 years, whenever I'm teasing students, I will say, "Are you playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure?" And so now I actually have a callback to it. But no, my head is down. If I'm not playing Rivals with my buddies, I'm probably doing the Avowed review right now. That's probably just genuinely where my head is at. I want to make sure I put some time into it, because Avowed is a game I'm very excited for, but it's outside of my standard game that I would play. Right. And so I want to make sure I really just check that out and give our audience something worthwhile. I will say that when that video does come out, guys, when that embargo lifts, I will be thrilled, appreciative, and thankful for anybody that goes and likes it and watches it. Because we were honored to be included in this one. We're getting some opportunities pertaining to Avow that I did not expect. So
yeah,
I really want to do right by people that gave us the trust to do it and by our audience. So,
yep. Looking forward to that as well too. Yeah, I will not be playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure, although it begrudges me because I would love to see Batsmaru as a mer person. I think it would be adorable. See a little penguin as a merman. So, oh well.
Logan, you've been doing more stuff with Keelhauled, streaming and the like.
Yeah, streaming everything. Actually, I was playing some Diablo 4. I'm like, I think I just hit level 70 in my season pass for Diablo 4. So about 20 more levels before I get that knocked out and decide whether or not I want to buy for the premium content. But hey, big mad Mo in chat.
Buddy.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, it's Xbox invades enemy territories. The best way to get them on our side is just to make them love our content.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on Keelhauled as always. Going to be putting out an episode this weekend. It's going to be an interesting conversation because there has been some happenings. Hunter's Call is getting an update, and there's the potential for 2 megalodons fighting you at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
We'll have to see.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff they've been teasing quietly that no one's really been picking up on. So I'm going to try and do better at covering that to give folks a little bit of hope in a time where everything from the studio right now is basically saying like, we're working hard on making the game feel good again. And I'm like, good, because you need that for the Switch 2 launch. But also I would like to have some content.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line to try and walk. But yeah.
I will say XEP probably won't have a ton of new videos next week because everything I'm doing, I am booked next week. Like I don't know how available I'll be for anything next week in order to bring things to XEP for the following week. So you can kind of put some things together on that. But I will say thank you to any and everybody who is supporting us, liked the show, shared the show, did talk about those supports to help get us to LA and the like. We appreciate you all. Logan, I think that's going to be it for us. Yeah?
Yep.
All right. That's it for us, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care.